Hey there, G3XE here with paint pseudo tutorial. Maybe I'm not good enough to be a tutor, but this is a good way to paint skeletons. I'm going to be using this as my upcoming Dungeons and Dragons games in the campaign that I'm posting as a vid quest known as Malam's Maze. So look for that. And I was just going to walk through. These are Games Workshop skeletons. They have awesome little bits and cool swords, lots of really good options, and I just like the hard plastic, especially with skeletons because they're so fiddly. If you go Reaper Bones with skeletons, you're going to get like kind of bendiness. So, first step, I got brown in my palette, which is a blister pack from a miniature, so you can keep them and use them as palettes. Watered it down right next to it and mixed it a little bit to thin the paints. First thing I'm going to do is go across everything with brown. So and that's for all these models. And that's why I'm using this big brush. The reason I'm doing that is because brown is primed black, so brown goes well on top of that, and then it also, when you talk about painting up, like painting a color up, you want to, like for black, you want to brighten it up, so I would start with the brown. So the skeleton bone color at the very darkest layer would be brown if I was painting up from black. I guess it's smarter to prime them white, but I didn't have white primer, so. Then also I want the weapons and stuff to look rusty, so I'm going to start out with brown, then do metallic over it, then do a wash. So on the bone it'll be brown, then a tan color, and then dry brushing bone white. And then on the metal and stuff, it'll be brown metal, and then washing, and then dry brushing. And I'll wash the skeletons as well at the after the bone white. So, as you can see, I've just kind of gotten as much coverage as I can. It doesn't have to be a solid color because this is just the base coat, but it's mainly just about starting the process of painting them all up. See, that didn't take that long. Maybe I get the shield a little bit more, but he is pretty good and covered, and then I'm just going to go through and do that with all of them. Now that that's done, for all the skeletons, now I'm going to go through with this tan color and go over all of the bone area. We're going to start on the undermost part of the model and then paint the layers outward. That one's actually still drying. Let's see. Okay. So, you don't have to be super clean about it, but I do want to try to avoid spilling over onto different surfaces as much as possible. Now this is the reason why you start the undermost layer, so that when you paint over it, you'll paint over your mistakes. So this is probably the most time-consuming step, but it's good to do while you just chill out and watch some video of some kind. So I'll be back when it's done. Alright, I went ahead after doing the tan of then just lightly brushing on all the metallics. So this is a good example of how in some places where it was smooth, I just brushed it on very even, and then I just kind of dry brushed a little bit. It's a little heavier than dry brushing, but in the rough, more textured parts, allowed for spaces where the brown that we base coated everything in to come through, and that'll help with that rust effect. So there's like a few guys with rusty swords with that effect and stuff like that. So then the last thing for or actually not last thing of race goods. What I think I'm going to do now is do the white. Excuse me, white on the skeletons, and then all their cloth. I'm gonna probably do like a tattered blue and gray or something like that. So, all right. So they are all painted white, all the skeletons, over the tan, and then blue. I mix blue and gray and put that on all the cloth. The next step is I'm going to wash the skeletons, and then I think I'm going to do a different wash on the metallics. I'm going to do like Agrax Earthshade, which is like a fancy wash on those, whereas I'm just going to do a easy peasy wash on the skeletons. So what that involves is just getting some black, and then getting some water, and watering it down a bunch. Alright, and then just taking that, so you can see here, and then I'm just going to be like bloop, 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 applying it to all the bone areas, so that it gives us some good definition. Alright, and went ahead and done all the final steps. So I washed skeletons black, used Agrax Earthshade on the metal, and I loved the effect that it came up with. Really makes it, with that brown undercoat, really makes it look rusted. Here's a cool example. And then I washed the blue in the Agrax Earthshade as well. And I painted the thing like gray to be like a dungeon floor. The base. I didn't want to do too fancy of a base, and then just went along with black on the edges. So we have 10 skeletons that are ready to either play in an Age of Sigmar game or fight some adventurers. Thanks. I'll see you in the next one.